The India-Bharat name controversy arose when the government of Prime Minister Narendra Modi referred to India as Bharat on invites for a dinner party at the recently concluded G20 summit in New Delhi. The word Bharat is the name for India in many Indian languages, including Hindi. The invites referred to the President of India, Draupadi Murmu, as President of Bharat instead of the usual President of India. News of the invites came just 2 days after Mohan Bhagwat, the chief of the Hindu nationalist organization RSS, an ideological mentor of the ruling Bharatiya Janata Party, said in a speech that the country should use the word Bharat instead of India. Several BJP leaders have cheered this approach, but there has been no confirmation at the time of publishing this video that the government is indeed considering a formal name change. Let us try to understand the history behind these two names that are a cause of such controversy right now. The Republic of India has two principal short names, each of which is historically significant: India and Bharat. A third name, Hindustan, is sometimes an alternative name for the region comprising most of the modern Indian states of the Indian subcontinent when Indians speak among themselves. The usage of Bharat, Hindustan, or India depends on the context and language of conversation. India. The English term is from the Greek word indica. The name derives ultimately from Sanskrit word Sindhu, which was the name of the Indus River, as well as the lower Indus basin, which is what is Sindh in present-day Pakistan. The old Persian equivalent of Sindhu was the word Hindu. Darius conquered Sindh in about 516 BCE, upon which the Persian equivalent Hindu was used for the province at the lower Indus basin. Skylax of Karyanda, who explored the Indus River for the Persian emperor, probably took over the Persian name and passed it into Greek. The terms Indos for the Indus River as well as an Indian are found in Greek historian and geographer Herodotus's geography. The loss of the letter H was probably due to the dialects of Greek spoken in Asia Minor. Herodotus also generalized the term Indian from the people of lower Indus basin to all the people living to the east of Persia, even though he had no knowledge of the geography of the land. By the time of Alexander, India in Greek denoted the region beyond the Indus. Alexander's companions were aware of at least India up to the Ganges Delta. Later, Megasthenes included in India the southern peninsula as well. Bharat. The name Bharat is derived from the name of the Vedic tribe Bharats, who are mentioned in the Rig Veda as one of the original tribes of the Aryavarta and noticeably participated in the Battle of the 10 Kings. Some other Puranic passages refer to the same as Bharat people, who are described as descendants of Dushyant's son Bharat in the Mahabharata. The earliest recorded use of Bharatvarsh in a geographical sense is in the Hathigumpa inscription of King Kharavela, where it applies only to a restrained area of northern India, namely the part of the Ganges west of Magadh. In the Sanskrit epic the Mahabharata, a larger region of North India is encompassed by the term, but much of the Deccan and South India are still excluded. According to the Purans, this country is known as Bharatvarsh after Bharat, the son of Rishabh, who was a Kshatriya born in the Solar dynasty. Some of the other names that were historically used for India are Jambudweep. This was the historical term for India in many Southeast Asian countries. Gyagar and Fagyul, Tibetan names used by ancient Tibetan Buddhist authors to refer to India. Hodu is the biblical Hebrew name for India mentioned in the Book of Esther, part of the Jewish Tanakh and Christian Old Testament. So what is the official name of the country? In English, the South Asian giant is called India, while in Indian languages it is also called Bharat, Bharat, and Hindustan. The preamble to the English version of the Constitution starts with the words, "We, the people of India," and then in part 1 of the document it states, "India, that is Bharat, shall be a union of states." In Hindi, the constitution replaces India with Bharat everywhere, except the part defining the country's names, which says in Hindi, "Bharat, that is India, shall be a union of states." Changing India's name to only Bharat would require an amendment to the constitution, which would need to be passed by a 2/3 majority in both houses of parliament. The BJP has already renamed cities and places that were linked to the Mughal and colonial periods. Last year, for instance, the Mughal garden at the presidential palace in New Delhi was renamed Amrit Udyan. Critics of the government say that the new names are an attempt to erase the Mughals, who were Muslims and ruled the subcontinent for almost 300 years from Indian history. An intellectual property lawyer who developed a method to calculate the rough cost of rebranding a country said that the approximate cost of India's renaming as Bharat is a mind-boggling rupees 14,304 crores, as reported by Outlook Business. In 2018, South Africa's Darren Oliver came up with the formula when Swaziland was renamed to Eswatini, and the cost of that renaming exercise was put at $60 million. Oliver applied the same method for India using its revenue as a factor. According to him, the average marketing budget of a large enterprise is around 6% of its total revenue, while rebranding exercises cost up to 10% of the company's overall marketing budget. 2 months ago, the alliance of opposition parties named themselves India ahead of the 2024 Indian general election. So the focus on rebranding to the name Bharat may also be partly motivated by that, says Ravinder Kaur, a historian of contemporary India. Partly, the ruling party is trying to counter by finding a different name. But the interesting thing is that India already has a double name, which is enshrined in the constitution. Kaur says, "We have seen that Modi and the BJP want to distance modern India from the colonial past, and so we've seen this trend of renaming streets that have names that refer to the colonial past. Clearly, this is an example of wanting to use the term that the BJP thinks is the proper, more appropriate term to use for India," says Michael Kugelman, the director of the South Asia Institute at the Wilson Center in Washington, D.C. The opposition has warned the BJP against doing away with the name India. Shashi Tharoor has tweeted about this and hopes that the government will not completely dispense with India, a name that has become a brand over centuries.
But I think maybe we irritated the government a little bit because we named our coalition India, so that got them all heated up. And now they've decided to change the name of the country. I mean, you know how these things are. I mean,
Congress is leading a new opposition alliance that was recently formed with the aim of unseating Prime Minister Modi in the 2024 general election. The 26-party Indian National Developmental Inclusive Alliance, or India, has made the potential name change an issue. Other leaders of opposition, like Mamata Banerjee too, have voiced similar concerns. Political and electoral concerns are a key factor in the India-Bharat issue, according to Rashid Kidwai, a visiting fellow at the New Delhi-based Observer Research Foundation think tank. Kidwai believes that the ramped-up rhetoric proves Modi is feeling the heat from the opposition. It demonstrates the BJP's trepidation, he said. The party has been claiming that Modi is indispensable, but for the first time he is feeling that the threat from the opposition bloc is real, which is why his party has planned to change the country's name to Bharat. At the time of publishing this video, the latest information is that the Indian government has called a special parliamentary session between September 18th to 22nd, but has not announced any agenda, leading to speculation that this session will be used to rename the country. However, some government officials, such as Information Minister Anurag Thakur, have dismissed the idea as rumors spread by the opposition. What will eventually happen remains to be seen, but our view is that the sudden decision to use the name Bharat as opposed to India, if this does go ahead, will almost certainly be a knee-jerk reaction to the opposition alliance naming themselves India. This is undoubtedly a big decision and will come at a huge cost to the public exchequer. We hope that the ruling party will take cost, infrastructure, and branding considerations into view before implementing any such change.